Welcome back. In a country exhausted by war and torn by crisis, desertification is advancing as a silent but deadly environmental threat, devouring the land and eroding what remains of a fragile food security. On World Day to combat desertification, Yemen faces a growing agriculture tragedy with no solutions. The following report has more details.
On World Day to combat desertification, the chapters of a stifling environmental crisis in Yemen are unfolding. Recent data shows that approximately 97% of the country's agricultural land is facing accelerated productivity decline due to several cumulative factors. Ma'rib Governorate, where agricultural land has declined by more than 14,000 hectares, is a living example of this collapse. Desertification is exacerbated by water scarcity and the absence of environmental protection projects.
بالحقيقة كان الوادي هذا زارع كامل.
The whole area here was planted and we were benefiting from it in all seasons. 30 years ago, everyone was benefiting from plants and dam water. However, desertification now has damaged planting process.
Ma'rib is no exception. A desertification deepens in most Yemeni governorates, threatening food security and pushing millions into poverty. This deterioration is linked to a complex mix of factors: climate change, groundwater depletion, soil erosion, and the war, which has disrupted agricultural reclamation projects and forced people to flee their lands.
تغير المناخ والذي له الأثر الرئيسي في
Climate change was the main reason behind desertification here and deterioration of agriculture. One of the manifestations of desertification is the erosion of plants, which many people depend on to feed their sheep.
International reports, most notably a report by the United Nations Development Programme, warn of a bleak agricultural future in Yemen, with more than a third of arable land lost over 2 decades and crop yields declining by 50% in some areas. By 2050, agricultural production is expected to decline by 1.2 million tons, equivalent to 1/5 of the country's food needs. Desertification also threatens to cost 5.6% of GDP and increase the number of poor and hungry people by millions, indicating a worsening humanitarian and social crisis in a country exhausted by war.